What's up guys, Seth here, back with another video on Marvel Contest of Champions, and welcome to the month review for May of 2026. So today I wanted to go over what happened in the game in the month of May and create a bit of a basis for comparison for throughout the year. I'm going to go through and review the content through each month to then sort of see what worked, what didn't work, and potentially Kabam might be able to implement some of the things that I'm recommending. But this is the first video that I'm doing for the month reviews because I only just started making YouTube videos again. So obviously I'm going to be missing the ones for earlier in the year, but that's okay because if we keep this going, we're going to have a big basis of knowledge for what happened in the past as well in the game to inform comparison in the future. So I've got a bit of a list of things that I want to go through, and I guess the one staple of each month is the event quest. So I think that's where we're going to start. So the event quest for the month of May was fairly unremarkable. It didn't really have any big challenges. It didn't really have any niche changes, but for elder players, there was a very, very sought after change. The classic mode has just been a pain in the butt for higher up players because it is just a mode where it is so easy in the lower quests that it was just a time waste. It was just going in there, spending all your energy using resources for nothing, considering where the real rewards are is in the elder difficulty. And so what they've done now is they've made it so you don't have to do classic anymore. You can just jump straight to elder. Having that sort of elder tuning of rewards was also one of the first things that they've done for elder specific players, because a lot of the things that have been elder specific have been really, really tiny tweaks. So it was nice to see such a big bump in rewards to sort of reward the people who pushed very quickly in Act 9.4 and either whaled out in the event or went through all of the Karina challenges as well. So cool, that sort of quality of life kind of stuff. It meant that everything was a lot more streamlined. Outside of that, it was pretty much the same basic sort of event. It just meant that for the higher up players, you could get to that action and those high rewards a lot faster than you could previously. So the event quest, definitely a win for the month of May. Obviously this is going to be standard, so you can't really hold this too highly. It just happened to come out in May, but it was definitely a perk throughout the month as well for those higher up players. The next thing that I want to go over is the side event. And the side event, they decided to do something very different this month, and they made a Coliseum side event. Roll Coliseum gave access to some pretty nice rewards. You know, there was some Titan shards, there was a stack of empowered grace crystals in both the threat levels 4 and 5, so there was a total of 60 empowered grace crystals, which is really, really solid. But I think it's more important in the fact that they made a really, really fun side event and set a bit of an example for later months. Kabam is learning that people like Coliseum. Coliseum is a fun aspect of the game. I do think that there was some good and some bad in this event though. I think that the Jack-o'-lantern, the Squirrel Girl, the Vox, and maybe the Morningstar fight, they provided a really good access to having great, exciting runs where you're kind of churning through bars, potentially able to finish all of the milestones in one run. However, the Captain America fight just really put a sour taste in my mouth, and I really wasn't inspired to do that much more pushing in the Morningstar and Silver Samurai fights to see how far I could get into it, just because the Captain America fight was so time consuming. You likely had to fight this Captain America like 2 to 3 times on every single threat level. So by the time you've done, 10 to 15 to potentially even more fights against Captain America just to grind through it, and each of those rounds is 5 minutes long, it gets a bit long. Like that's like an hour, over an hour of fighting Captain America. I think the idea of Roll Coliseum is really, really solid for a side event. I think implementing it as a side event is really, really good. I hope they do more of it in the future, but the Captain America really, really threw me off at the end a bit. I think all of the 3 last fights, to be honest, could have been better. They could have made better nodes on it to make it a bit more fun, but it's promising compared to the normal, duel this person 5 times, get a key, get some sort of item, go into a quest, complete that quest 75 times. Roll Coliseum was a very, very fun, very, very refreshing side event to have. When everyone was in the mood already because of Apex Coliseum, I think it was like a fun mode when you're so used to trying to scrape the barrel for like 5 to 10 bars, going in and doing 350 bars in a fight. Very, very fun. Overall, solid, great premise. I think they should do more of it. Good job. Now moving on from Coliseum to Coliseum, I know that Apex Coliseum did not come out in May, it started in April. However, the last 2 fights, the Airwalker fight and the Ebony Maw fight, both came out in May. And so I just wanted to have them as a bit of an honorable mention and go over what I thought about those fights as well, because this was part of the content that we were doing in May alongside all the other stuff. So Airwalker, overall, I had fun with the Airwalker fight. I think there were plenty of okay options. I think there were few great options, but as you can see, it was one of those fights that it was feasible to get over the 10 to 15 bars and get through it fairly quickly. Same with Ebony Maw. I didn't get a chance to do the high bar fights that I was hoping to. 10 bars is still fine. It's still got all the stuff cleared out. During the month of May, everyone also, if you completed Apex Coliseum, you would have also gotten all of the higher up rewards. So that included all of the Titan shards. It included the 3 to 4 gem, the Titan Nexus, and more importantly, the tier 5 alpha full catalyst and half a catalyst. In May, we had a very, very good pile of rewards coming in. And on the topic of rewards coming in, the other thing that happened in the month of May was the Metamorphosis event. So the Metamorphosis event is also wrapping up now, but it's basically in line with the Roll Coliseum event. You got points to the Realm event, where you got a bunch of stuff, including all of the Roll Coliseum crystals, the Ascended Hero rank up gems, and the Sig stones, and the keys to be able to get an Ascended champion from the box selector. You also had the event for the pay to win stuff, where you could buy packages to be able to get points in this or use units, which is what I did. I had a bunch of units saved up, and that Ascension 2 null was a little bit too enticing, so I ended up using all of my units basically. I've farmed some up since then, but it's been looking a bit dire for the last few weeks. The box overall, I think the box had a good selection of champions. For the large pool of players, this box had an option for everyone. It had really good choice amongst both defenders and attackers, and having sort of mixed bag champions in there as well. I think everyone in this list can be a defender and also can be an attacker. So I think for anyone picking up any of the champions, I think it would make a good addition to anyone's roster as well if you don't already have them. So for the influx of rewards, the Metamorphosis event was huge. And as much as other events in the past are really sales driven and you got to spend money or you can't really participate, this one had, I think, a really, really good free to play option. I think you can pretty much do everything with just units if you farm arena and if you save up your units. Not a lot of value if you're actually spending money, but for the unit value and your return on getting some pretty exclusive stuff like Ascension materials, pretty solid, I reckon. Now, I guess on the back of rewards booming and getting your roster leveled up and everything like that, the other thing that released in the month of May was collectives. So collectives have basically filled the gap of getting all of the endgame players and the players who potentially have a pretty wide roster already interested in completing that roster or finding value in when you pull a bad champion. And the collectives not only came out with a bunch of perks for your champions, you know, you're getting a bunch of attack and you're getting specific abilities to each class, you're getting bonus damage and health and all of these different things, but you're also getting a ton of empowered crystals. Collectives have filled a really good gap in the collection aspect of the game. A lot of my low rank 7 stars were basically pointless. The only reason that I was ranking up 7 stars to rank 2 was for the sake of this Supreme Collection offer that I picked up a while ago. Outside of that, I had no interest in putting catalysts into low rank champions. But now with collectives, there's value in that. There's value in bringing up a bad champion to rank 2 or rank 3 because it's going to bump up not only the benefits for that champion, but it's going to bump up the benefits for all of your other champions in that same class. So it means that even if you've got, you know, your best favorite champion is at rank 5, Sig 200, Ascended, you can't take them any further. If you're ranking up your lower champions, the worst champions, that's still going to be bumping up your best ones. So improvement to the roster means improvement to all of the roster, which I think is a really good addition. I think it's something that was missing in the game, and I think that overall it's going to really change how people play the game and how they collect and use their champions best. And I think it also just makes a lot more flexibility in the game. You know, if you really, really care about one class specifically, say if I only cared about tech, I could pump all of my resources into tech to bump up this tech collective. It allows me to make that choice. And I think that's really, really important. I think it's good to allow freedom for people to choose how they want to play the game and what they want to focus on in their rosters. And I think collective empowers that really, really well. And I'm also excited to see what they bring out in the future, because they said they're going to bring in other temporary collectives where you can focus on specific champions like, I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy or Thunderbolts or champions that are bald, things like that. So I think that'll be really, really fun to see what they do. I think it's a great basis right now. I think the rewards from getting high rank collectives are really, really solid at the moment, and the benefits to champions are really, really good. It's also something that's going to be, you know, permanent and going forward through the game outside of the month of May. Month of May it came in, and for that it gets an A star because I'm really, really enjoying it, and I think it is a great addition to the game. Now, next thing I want to touch on is the champions that came out in the month of May. We had one new champion and we had one reworked champion. The first champion I want to touch on is Wave. Wave has sort of a similar playstyle that Silk has, like that sort of bursty damage. You can chain into your heavy attack really easily with a heavy stun. She's got really solid utility, including her kit basically revolves around being a Nico counter, as well as other stuff. Like she's got a lot of physical attack. She's got a lot of benefits from taking advantage of poison and incinerates. She can regen a fair bit from poisons, as well as reducing the potency of them. And I think overall, she not necessarily fills a gap in what champions were missing, but it makes a bit of a combination of abilities that we haven't really seen before in the science class. Like she definitely shares abilities with other champions. She definitely shares play styles with other champions, but I think overall she seems like she's going to be a pretty solid addition to the contest. And hey, if you want to see a video about Wave, if you want to see me go over her abilities more, maybe do an entire guide, then let me know and I'll be looking into that as well too. The next champion that we had added to the contest, well, as I said, buffed in the contest, is Ghost Rider. So Ghost Rider is a champion who's been in the game for a very long time. I think since like 2016, 2017, something like that. And he was voted to get a buff. From what I've seen of Ghost Rider, he seems fine. Like he seems solid. He's got some pretty solid standard kind of mystic abilities. But I think with the addition of Nico and Madeline Pryor and Doctor Strange, I just don't see what gap Ghost Rider fills. He's got unique abilities where he has this pen and stare ability. And I get that that's different and it's new and it's something that's kind of cool and it plays into his, you know, character in the comics and in the movies and stuff, which I enjoy, but I just don't really see him filling that much of a gap. I don't think people are going to be picking him over Madeline Pryor and Nico and Doctor Strange and other Mystic champions that sort of cover the same things that he does, but do it better. If you are a passionate Ghost Rider lover, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll look into it more, maybe I'll make a video about him as well, and maybe you'll change my mind, but I just think that he's okay. He's alright. I think I would have liked to see more out of the buff, or I would have liked to see even a different character be buffed. It's whatever. He's fine. If you get him, he's going to do something. Now, the last thing that I want to go over, the pits of May. Battlegrounds was a horror show. It sucked. It was terrible. They removed the value of maintaining your health. So that basically means that your health remaining at the end of the match gave no benefit. You got no points from it. So the only points that you gained were the speed that you killed the defender and if you killed the defender or how much health was remaining at the end of the fight. For the people with all the meta champions that run suicides, that have the really glass cannon kind of champions that just get in, do a lot of damage and get out, hey, maybe you had some fun this season. Maybe you got through it pretty quickly. If you're a player who takes their time, who's reliable with the fights, who is really good at getting out of tricky situations, who finishes Battlegrounds fights with 100% health. If you've got a whole deck catered around that, if you've got a lot of champions that you love because they're so survivable, you're gonna get to the end of that fight with all of your health points left. Like me, it's terrible. It sucks. For this season, it was horrible to get through the victory track. And I know what you're thinking. If you don't like Battlegrounds, if you're finding it's not very fun this season, if it's just the victory track you're trying to get through, why bother? Why would you do that to yourself? Well, I'll tell you why you do it to yourself. It's because Kabam put the last piece for Stellar Forge Blade behind the victory track. So what that means is if you did not do the victory track, then you cannot have Stellar Forge Blade at the moment. There is no other way to get him. If you didn't do the Battlegrounds victory track, that's it. You don't have him right now. And what that means is that you're now also missing out and delaying your ability to get the Ascension and Awakening of him too. I know a lot of people have gone through Battlegrounds, have tried to do the victory track for hours, have done so many matches, lost so many matches like I did. But luckily, I just had an excessive amount of time on my hands. And so I could go through and have 10 losses in a row and then finally get a couple of wins. I've got the time for that. Well, I had the time for that. Now I don't. If you're not someone who has the time for any Battlegrounds, let alone a lot of Battlegrounds, this season sucked. And most people now don't even play Battlegrounds because it has already been a game mode which has kind of died off. Like people aren't really interested in Battlegrounds now. People aren't playing it as much. People aren't pushing as far in it. I feel like Kabam should know already it's not the same as it used to be, but they put such a crucial piece of rewards as the Stellar Forge Blade piece that everyone's chasing behind the victory track in a game mode that no one wants to play. You're bound to get people hating it even more if you do that. I don't get the thought process behind it. I think it was a terrible move. I think it was a terrible time time. I hated every second of it, but I did it anyway because I wanted Stellar Forge Blade. It's just like, why have you done this? And that is the only thing that really put a proper sour taste in my mouth for the month of May was Battlegrounds. And I know Battlegrounds started prior to the month of May. It was like a few days before May started. It was largely a May event, was the Battlegrounds event. So I think for people that did it, congratulations. If you grinded through it like I did, I'm even more proud of you. And if you didn't do it at all, I don't blame you. They could have definitely made the Battlegrounds season just better. Since then, they've revoked that rule in this preseason as a bit of an idea of what it's going to look like next season. There is now, you know, your remaining health is now valued, so maybe it might get better. But the 1 month that everyone needed to be doing Battlegrounds to get that piece, that's the season that they made the worst in quite a while. Definitely a loss there for Kabam. Definitely a bit of a stub in the toe of May. My final thoughts, I think May was a really solid month. I think there was a great rewards output for May. I think there was really fun events around the Apex Coliseum and the Roll Coliseum. I think the quality of life changes around the event quest now being able to skip straight to Elder, I think was a really, really solid change. I think the champions, I think Wave is really, really good. I reckon she looks really, really promising for the future as a really utility intense niche science champion. Ghost Rider looks whatever. Sorry, I'm a certified Ghost Rider hater now, apparently. I just think he isn't looking like all that. So if you want to change my mind, go right ahead. Battlegrounds was an absolute sham. It sucked. It was terrible. So I think taking everything into account, putting it all into a big ball of May, I think overall I'm sitting at a B tier. Let me know what you think in the comments, what you think May should be as a score. But I'm going to say on a tier of S, A, B, C, D, E, F, I'm going to give it a B tier. And then I guess we'll see what the next months bring and what comes out then and what scores they get. And maybe it'll move up. Maybe we'll find that every other month for this year sucks. And so May ends up getting up to an A or an S tier. But that's going to do it, guys. That's all I wanted to talk about today, is just going over the month and what happened in May and see what you think about it as well. If you want to go over it, talk to me about it in the comments below. I'd love to see what you thought about everything that I spoke about in this video as well down there. And keep an eye out on the channel for the next videos. I've got a Null video coming soon. I got a Blade video coming soon. But that's going to do it, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.